The first time she stepped out with the triplets, the town fell silent. 3 identical girls, their skin smooth as polished stone, their wide eyes holding a knowing depth, dressed entirely in red. Red wrappers, red beads, red shoes, even their headscarves were red. At first, people thought it was style, perhaps her love for the color or a way to draw attention. But when days became weeks, and weeks turned into months, and still the children wore nothing but red, questions began to rise. Some whispered, some mocked, others trembled with unease. In Oama, no one had ever witnessed such a thing. Only one dared to ask. At the stream one hot Thursday, Mama Ima called out to Mama Chum, the mother of the triplets. "Is red now the uniform in your house?" she teased. Blessing turned slowly, her face calm but her eyes holding something deep. Neither anger nor sorrow, but a weight that silenced further words. "I do what I must," she said softly, then walked away, her daughters following behind like shadows. That moment fed the whispers even more. Blessing had not always been this way. Once, she was the happiest bride in Oama. At 20, she had married Obina, a humble trader who adored her completely. Their first year was filled with laughter and plans, the second with prayers, and by the third, silence settled over their home like a curse. "Still nothing?" her mother-in-law asked one morning while pouring palm oil into the pot. Blessing shook her head. "We're still trying, Mama." "Trying," the older woman muttered. "The kind of trying that turns hair white. Don't let your silence destroy my son's future." Blessing said nothing. She went into her room and wept into her wrapper. At family gatherings, the whispers grew louder. 3 years. Not even a miscarriage. Obina is still young. Let him try someone else before it's too late. Obina defended her at first. "She is my wife. We are praying." But little by little the words cut through him. By the 5th year, he no longer sang in the mornings or played with her hair. At night, he turned his back to her, sleeping in silence. Blessing felt him slipping away like smoke dissolving in rain. In desperation, she tried one last thing. She traveled to the city hospital, ran every test, endured every scan. The doctors told her nothing was wrong. She returned home with the results, placed them before Obina, and he only nodded. "Okay," he said, and nothing more. By the 6th year, the quiet in their home was suffocating. His family's patience had run dry, and Obina himself, once gentle, had grown distant. One evening, while she stirred yam porridge in the kitchen, his mother stormed in. "You've wasted all your eggs," she snapped. 6 years in my son's house and nothing? Not even once." Blessing kept her silence. She had exhausted every prayer, every doctor, every prophet, every herbal cure, every fast. Still nothing. The next month, Obina came home with words that cut deeper than a knife. "My mother is bringing another woman." Her hand froze, knife mid-air, the leaf slipping from her grasp. "You will not be sent away," he added, his voice flat. "But you must accept her." Blessing did not cry. She did not scream. She simply stood there, still as stone, the fire crackling behind her and the pot of yam porridge boiling over. She didn't throw the pot. She turned slowly, her eyes searching his face, but what she saw was no longer her husband. It was a stranger wearing his skin. She said nothing. The next week, the new wife arrived. Her name was Ioma, a young woman with a loud laugh and bright eyes. She moved with the confidence of someone untouched by hardship, calling Obina sweetheart in front of Blessing, stepping into the kitchen as though it belonged to her, her perfume heavy in the air. Within 2 moons, her belly began to swell. "See how quickly she conceives," people murmured. An aunt from Obina's family visited and glanced at Blessing. This is how God works. When one tree is dry, another bears fruit. Blessing stayed silent. That night, she folded her wrapper, placed her clothes into a small bag, removed the wedding picture from the wall, and set it face down. She tied her hair, walked into the parlor and said, "I'm leaving." Obina didn't look away from the television. "Okay," he answered flatly. She stepped into the gray evening. The air smelled of burnt dreams. "I will not remain where I am mocked," she whispered. She reached the gate and did not look back. The road led her to her father's house, its walls cracked, its air filled with firewood smoke. It was the place where her story had begun, and now where it would turn. Inside waited Mama Nena, her stepmother, the woman Blessing had always blamed. That night, The house creaked with memories. Sleep refused to come. At dawn, Mama Nena knocked on her door. "Wake up. We need to talk." Blessing emerged, her face swollen from tears. "Go and see a herbalist," Mama Nena said. Blessing blinked. "What?" "Not a doctor, not a pastor. Someone who understands beyond the body. There is more here than what eyes can see." Blessing's face hardened. "No. You want to finish what you started? The same way you killed my mother and took her place in this house. What are you saying? You think I don't know? The way my mother died, the way you slid into her place like a breeze." The old woman's eyes widened. "You believe I killed your mother? She died giving birth to you. I raised you. I fed you. I clothed you. You did it for my father, not for me." Blessing turned away, slammed the door and shouted from inside, "I only go to pastors, not your charms, Mama." Mama Nena stood frozen, her chest rising and falling, her eyes wet, but she said no more. That night, Blessing lay awake, arms folded, staring at the ceiling as if it could explain her pain. She did not realize that her journey toward freedom had already begun, though she was walking the wrong path. A year slipped by like dry harmattan wind. Quiet, endless, empty. One Sunday afternoon, she met a man. His name was Saccone, from Enugu. Tall with gentle eyes and a voice that soothed. He was a contractor building the new church at the town square. They first crossed paths at the market when she dropped an onion and he bent to pick it up before her. Their eyes met, and his smile was warm. "Are you from this town?" he asked. She nodded. After that, they saw each other more. By the stream, near the church, at the market. He never asked about her past or looked at her womb. "I want to know your heart, not your history," he told her. 6 moons later, they married quietly, just family, prayers, palm wine, and blessings. Blessing moved into his modest but neat home, walls smelling of fresh paint. For the first time in years, she smiled from within. 3 months passed, then 4. One morning, she woke with a strange heaviness. Her hand touched her belly. Something was different. She went to the clinic. "You are pregnant," the nurse said. Blessing sat still, trembling, tears falling silently. This was not fear, not pain. This was joy. She rushed home to tell Saccone. He lifted her, spinning her like a child, then painted a spare room, laid a new mattress, bought a baby cot. Each morning, he knelt by her belly to pray, "God, protect our little one. Let this joy remain." Blessing sewed small clothes, bought tiny socks, folded red blankets. At 6 months, her belly swelled round as a calabash filled with water. At 7, one morning, blood came. She screamed. Saccone carried her to the hospital. Doctors ran, nurses hurried, but it was too late. The child was gone. The sky outside darkened, the sun itself seemed to mourn. She returned home in silence. Behind the house, she lay on the ground, wrapper-stained, her arms holding her empty stomach. She didn't cry out, but her body shook with a soundless grief. Then she heard footsteps, slow and steady. Mama Nena came and lowered herself beside her. She didn't touch her. She didn't offer pity. She only sat beside her. Blessing didn't hiss, didn't turn her face, didn't push her away. She simply stared at the sky, her tears drying on her cheeks. After a long silence, the old woman whispered, "Come with me." Blessing blinked, then nodded, not because she believed, but because her spirit was weary of resisting. They journeyed to Achi, a hidden forest settlement on the edge of Oily. The path grew narrow, the trees towering high, their branches frozen as though the wind had forgotten them. The herbalist's hut stood deep within, a place untouched by time. He was old, yet his eyes were sharp, his hands steady as stone. He listened as Blessing poured out her pain from beginning to end. Not once did he interrupt. When she finished, he rose, took down a leather pouch, and pulled out 3 white cowrie necklaces. Blessing frowned at the sight of them. 3. He cradled them in his palm like fragile eggs. "Your womb has been rejected by the world," he said quietly. Blessing gasped, her hand flying to her stomach. "Not by spirits," he added. Her eyes darted to Mama Nena, but the woman's lips stayed sealed. The herbalist placed the necklaces in Blessing's hands. "Next time life enters you, tell no one. Not even your husband. Wrap yourself in red. Red bed, red plate, red candle, red cloth. When the children come, clothe them only in red. Never remove these from their necks. Not in sleep, not in tears. Never. Blessing stared at the cowries trembling in her palm. Babies? She whispered. You mean a child? I said what I said. His face was calm, his voice final. Outside, the forest held its breath. Not a single leaf stirred. He turned his back. The meeting was done. Mama Nena rose slowly. Blessing remained seated, clutching the cowries as though they burned her skin. They walked back along the narrow path in silence. Even the birds refused to sing. That night, Blessing slid the necklaces beneath her pillow. She didn't pray. She didn't speak. She lay wide-eyed in the dark waiting. 2 moons passed. Then her monthly flow stopped. She stood before a cracked mirror, counting days on her fingers, her palm pressed against her belly. Flat, but no longer empty. She was carrying again. She said nothing, not even to Akona. When he asked softly, "Are you well?" she only nodded with a faint smile. At 3 moons, her back ached. She moved slowly, slept often. Still she held her silence. At 4, she went alone to the clinic, her wrapper pulled tight. The nurse spread cool gel across her stomach, sliding the machine over her skin. Her eyes widened. "Madam, you're carrying more than 1, she said. Blessing's heart jumped. "Twins." The nurse shook her head. "No. 3. Blessing froze. Breath caught in her throat. Tears welled, spilling down her cheeks, warm and unending. She laughed and wept at once, her body trembling with joy too heavy to contain. The nurse looked puzzled, but Blessing didn't care. She returned home and spoke not a word. She remembered the herbalist's warning. Silence, secrecy, red. She bought red wrappers, red gowns, red sheets, red plates, red candles. Even her sponge and toothbrush turned red. Each night she knelt by her bed clothed in crimson, whispering thanks into the darkness. Each morning, she pressed red powder onto her palms, offering gratitude to unseen spirits. By the 5th moon, Akona began to notice. "You don't eat what I cook anymore," he teased. She smiled faintly. "I'm just craving different things." He studied her. "But why always red?" She kissed his cheek. "Don't worry, it's helping me." By 6 moons, her belly swelled like a calabash brimming with palm wine. At 7, her waters broke. The hospital was far, but the children didn't wait. In the quiet of night, on her own bed, with Mama Na and a young nurse from the next compound by her side, she brought them into the world. First one cry, then another, then a third. 3 girls, identical faces, small mouths, wide eyes, and cries sharp as rain striking zinc. When silence returned, Blessing gathered them against her chest, her arms trembling, her body drained, her eyes burning with tears and light. She named them softly, Favor, Amarachi, Nancy, then slipped red beads on their wrists, pulled tiny red socks onto their feet, and hung white cowries around their necks. From that moment, red became their skin, their breath, their secret. The town did not yet know, but something weighty had entered the world, wrapped in silence. The girls flourished like maize after a heavy rain, quick, radiant, unyielding. Favor walked first, Amarachi spoke first, Nancy danced before she even crawled. Their laughter drifted across the compound like bells, sweet as mango flesh. But one thing never changed. Red. Red wrappers, red blouses, red socks, red head ties, even their school bags. Red in church, red in the market, red at weddings, red at funerals, red in sickness, red in health, and always the same cowrie shells gleaming at their throats. Soon tongues began to wag. "Why only red?" some asked. "Is it a charm?" Others whispered of a vow in the forest. Some scoffed, others avoided them altogether. But the girls didn't flinch. They held hands everywhere, one left, one right, one in the middle, like 3 blossoms sprouting from a single stem. In school, teachers raised questions. One suggested white for sports day. Blessing's answer was steady, "My children wear red." Another complained they looked too alike. Blessing only smiled. "That's how it should be." She offered no explanation. One scorching afternoon at the stream, the girls perched on a rock, their feet in the water, beads glittering in the sun. Women scrubbed clothes, Children splashed nearby, when a sharp voice cut through the air. These ones look like spirits. Too neat. Too quiet. Too red. Blessing rose without a word, summoned her daughters with her eyes. They came, their hands slipping into hers, and together they walked away like reluctant shadows. From that day, the whispers grew stronger. Yet Blessing's silence grew heavier too. She alone carried the truth, that the red was never for beauty or show. It was survival. Seasons turned, years drifted past, and the girls stretched into young women. Their voices deepened, their strides lengthened, but the red remained. Their eyes began to notice things that once slipped past them, yet the red never left. Primary school faded into memory, secondary came and went, and now university stood before them. Still, the same pattern. Red tops, red skirts, red shoes, red scarves, red beads at their wrists, and the white cowrie at their necks whispering of a past no one explained. At first, they didn't complain. They grew used to stares, to nicknames, red sisters, blood girls, spirit triplets. But inside, questions sprouted like stubborn weeds. Late at night, Favor would sometimes ask, "Mama, please, why must we always wear red?" Blessing would keep washing plates or folding wrappers, her voice calm and unbending. "When the time comes, you will know." Amarachi tried too. "Can I at least wear pink? Just small pink." Mama never even turned. "When the time comes." Nancy once joked, "Mama, what if red finishes in the market? Will we go naked?" Blessing only looked at her, and that look was sharper than words. So they waited, but life did not wait. Favor received a call for a job in the city, a multinational office on the 10th floor. She dressed in her finest red and walked in with hope. At the front desk, the lady frowned. "Sorry, you can't go in with that necklace. Dress code." Favor tried to explain, "It's part of me. I've worn it all my life." They shook their heads. The interviewer dismissed her before she could finish. She returned home, tears soaking her pillow. Blessing held her but spoke no explanation. Nancy, the artist, was invited to an international showcase. Big investors, big names. She worked through nights, her brush flying like fire chased her hands. The day came. She wore her red dress, the cowrie bright against her chest. Whispers spread. Some guests stared, unsettled. One man pulled her team aside. "This is offensive. In our culture, red with cowrie belongs to the dead." By the end, her name was dropped from the list. That night she did not come home. She sat alone by the river, watching the moon sink into the water. Then Amarachi, the tender one, the one who carried the most laughter. She found Kofi, a Ghanaian boy with kind eyes and a smile that steadied her. He loved pepper soup and long walks. She loved how he listened. They spoke of dreams, of freedom, of forever. But each time his gaze lingered on her red dress and the cowrie, his face shifted. One evening, after dinner, he took her hand. "Amarachi, why do you always wear red, and that shell? It feels strange. People talk. If we are serious, maybe it's time to let it go." That night she lay restless. The question echoed, louder than her heartbeat. "Why? Why red? Why cowrie? Why silence?" She whispered into the still air, "Mama, when is the time?" But no answer came. She sat before the mirror, fingers tracing the cowrie, eyes locked on her reflection dressed in red. She murmured, "What if I don't wear it tomorrow? Will anything happen? Maybe Mama is only keeping us bound to stories." At dawn, she pulled open the drawer under her bed. Beneath wrappers, notebooks, and a tucked-away bag, she uncovered it, a navy blue dress. Simple, clean, untouched. She had bought it 2 years earlier, waiting for this very moment. She slipped off the red dress, removed the cowrie, and for the first time her neck felt bare, her skin unfamiliar. Her chest rose with a rush of air, her heart racing with a strange excitement. She put on the blue dress, turned before the mirror, and smiled. "So this is freedom," she whispered. She opened the door, stepping into the soft morning. The breeze brushed her cheek, gentle, almost welcoming. One step, then another. By the 10th, her knees buckled. Her body jerked violently, crashing to the ground. Her hands scraped the earth, her mouth stretched open, but no sound came. Her eyes rolled back, fingers twisted like rope, lips paling fast. Her whole frame trembled like a leaf whipped by storm winds. Screams filled the air. Someone shouted, "Call her sisters." Another ran for water. A man bent close, gasping, "She's burning." Neighbors gathered, feet pounding, eyes wide, voices rising. But Amarachi did not move. At the hospital, the lights were bright but the atmosphere heavy. Amarachi lay still, eyes half open, her lips dry, her body unyielding. Machines beeped as wires clung to her skin. Nurses hurried, doctors pressed her chest, shone lights into her eyes, flipped through charts, but nothing changed. One doctor pulled off his gloves and shook his head. "Her body is sound. No sickness, no injury, no cause." Another whispered, "Medically she's alive, but something unseen is pulling her away." Favor and Nancy burst in, their slippers smacking against the floor, eyes swollen, breaths fast. They pushed past the nurses. "Mama!" Nancy cried, her voice breaking. "What happened? What happened to her?" Blessing stood by the bed, bare feet on the cold floor, her wrapper plain, her eyes locked on Amarachi. Her daughter's fingers twitched once, the machine beeped fast, then flatlined. A single, long tone filled the room. Amarachi was gone. Nancy collapsed, her sobs shaking the walls. Favor gripped the bed frame, screaming until her voice tore. Nurses covered their mouths. One slipped out. Blessing did not cry. She didn't fall or wail. She only looked at her daughter's face, calm as though she'd drifted to sleep under a tree. Then she spoke, quiet but clear. "You are free now." Favor snapped her head up. "What?" Nancy rose slowly, her voice trembling. "Mama, what do you mean?" Favor shouted through tears. "We just lost her and you're saying we're free?" Blessing's voice carried weight, steady though her eyes shimmered with age and grief. "She was the gate. The herbalist told me." "The gate," Nancy whispered, confused. Blessing exhaled, the release of a secret buried for decades. "When I bore you 3, I returned to the herbalist. He congratulated me but warned me of something I could never share. He said one of you would be the first to remove the necklace, the first to cast off the red. That child would die. But in dying she would release the others." Silence gripped the room. Blessing lowered her gaze. "I never knew which one it would be. I prayed it would never happen. But it has. And now the bond is broken." Favor dropped to her knees. "So she was the sacrifice." Nancy clutched her cowrie tight, her tears streaking down. "We lost her to gain freedom." Blessing's voice trembled at last. "She gave her life so you could live yours." The next day, they laid Amarachi to rest. From then on the red vanished. The cowries were sealed in a wooden box and placed at the foot of Blessing's bed. Favor wore jeans and soft blouses. Nancy dyed her hair golden brown. Slowly, life trickled back, but the scar of Amarachi's loss remained carved in them. Every year, on the day she departed, they dressed in red from head to toe. Not as a curse, but as a remembrance. A tribute to the sister whose sacrifice unchained them and gave them back their lives. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, tell friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe for more African tales. Thank you.